Hello guys, welcome to the Man Cave. What I'm going to do today is show you how to illuminate this house to go on my model train set. Now this is a plastic building and I'm going to put lights in it, and I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to make it light up. It's nowhere near as complex as you might think. Let me just start by saying I could use these. I could use LEDs. I've got a whole box of LEDs in different colours, various different ones. I'm not going to use them. What I use to illuminate buildings is these things. Now these come, this is actually a 10-metre roll, they were about a fiver, and they normally come, when you buy them out of the shops, they come with a battery pack, so they run on 3 AAAs. Cut the battery pack off and throw it away, as you don't need that. And these are nice ones because they're stiff, they're like wire, so they will actually fix and mould where you want them, which is brilliant. So what we're going to do is we're going to use these inside this house, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And it's so simple, and it's so much better in my opinion than using normal LEDs. These are perfect. These give off a nice warm white which aren't overpowering. So we're going to start by showing you what I'm going to do. Right, what I've done so far with the house, inside the house you can see I've painted the inside of the roof with black acrylic paint, just normal kids poster paint. Paint the inside of the roof, and if you look on the sides I've also painted out roughly some of the windows, because the last thing you want is every window in the house to be lit up. It doesn't look fake. You need some of the lights out. So I painted over some of them. That's all I've done really. I've then got a piece of card, white that side, grey that side, don't really matter, it can be all white. And I've cut this piece of card to the sides of the house, so that fits over the bottom of the house. Put a little hole in there. So what we're going to do is we'll stand this up, and with a pencil we need to basically draw where the centre divider is, because there's a little divider right up in there. So that's pretty much central. So we'll draw him on the card. So what we want to do now is just get some of these lights. You'll find there's 2 wires, really fine, perfect for modelling these. So how many lights are we going to want? I normally use in a building that size 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. After the 6th light you can cut that right off, close to the light, there. You don't have to do anything with these wires this end, just make sure they don't short out. So with them little wires there, just make sure they're spread a little. I have turned on here a hot glue gun. We will need a hot glue gun. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically, on this end, my light is there, I've left that much wire. This is where I will solder to. Poke them wires through your hole, like so. So just poke them through that hole. Get through there, sunshine. There we go. So them wires are through. Now we want to just hot glue that wire. There you go. Now it's going to take a couple of seconds for that glue to set, because hot glue is not instant, but I do find it by far the best stuff. Now if you've noticed, I've glued that, whoops a daisy, I've glued that just before the first LED. So the first LED is here. You can glue over the LED, it really doesn't matter. Bearing in mind you're not going to see none of this, it's all going to be inside the house. So this hasn't got to be, you know, hasn't got to be rocket science. There you go. Perfect. So that hot glue now just about cooled down. Stringy old stuff. So yeah, I hope you guys have been following the progress on my N-gauge model railway. I'll show you through it in a minute. Right, after we've put this LED here, we just want to put your house there so you know roughly where the height is. Now we're going to just coil these wires up a bit till we get to the next LED. And we want the next LED midway of the house. So if we have that there, so we've got an LED at the top of the house. So you see we've got an LED sticking up. A little bit more hot glue to just stick them down. And basically I think you can see where I'm going with this. Yeah, I think you can see where I'm going with this, but this is basically all we're doing. It just takes so long for the hot glue to actually set. But the good thing with these is once they're set, you can still move these about, they will stay where you put them. Which is a really good thing about using these wires, these LEDs that actually come on the stiff wire. If they're stuff that come on the thin wire, they aren't quite so good because they aren't so manageable. But as you can see, that'll stay wherever I bend it to now. So we have one LED at the bottom, we have another LED there. I think we need another one halfway up, and we don't want this coil in there, so we can just wrap these wires around. Sorry you can't see what I'm doing very well. Right, we've got an LED there, so a bit more hot glue. There you go. So you can see the sort of thing we're up to. We have an LED here, another LED here, another LED here, and another LED here. And I've left two more LEDs, which we'll put along the front, just shining upwards. So we've just got to wait for this glue to dry. All your excess wire you can just, well, basically put that where you like. So we're going to have one LED here. We'll have this wire come in. And another LED there. So we'll just a little bit more hot glue there. I do love hot glue, as you can see. Hope you can see what I'm doing here, guys. I can't really zoom in because I'm on a GoPro, so you can't really zoom in very well. There you go. Come on, stick. Go cold. There you go. What I'm actually going to do is let me just lean forward and just turn the hot glue gun off because that's getting a bit too warm now. And this last LED, which we have, is here. So this lot can just be folded up. We can fold this back down because we don't want that piece. There you go. And just, whoops, straw sticking to it. Now the model railway purist against you will probably say this is cheating and oh, that's not how you do it. Nobody sees it. It's inside a house. Nobody's remotely going to see what's going on in there. So all you need to worry about is that it works. There you go, just dabble that and you'll find that'll make it set a little bit harder, a little bit quicker, sorry. So right, our LEDs are all in place, and what we can do is, I'm sure you can see what's happening here. We've got our wires on the bottom where we put the power out. These will now sit in there. So you just stick that over your house and your lights are inside. Simple as that. If they catch on the house, you can manipulate them, you can move them, you can put these LEDs wherever you want, because they're the nice stiff ones on the wire. So if you want them more upright, you can have them exactly where you like them. These are perfect for houses. And these wires are insulated as well, so you ain't got to worry about them touching. And as you can see, that will all slide neatly in the house. You can bond that on, put your power wires on, and we're done. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to get the soldering iron set up, and then I will restart the video, and we will go from there. See you in a minute, guys. So guys, we're back again. I've just got out a 1K resistor, and to strip these wires, if you try and strip these wires with pliers, I can assure you it's not easy trying to strip these wires because it's so thin. I'll show you how I strip these wires. A lighter. Heat the end of the wire and it instantly burns off the insulation. Rub your fingers across and there you go. They are now ready to solder. So using my helping hands, you can put a resistor on whatever wire you like, it doesn't really matter. So I've got our 1K resistor here. Obviously, as you know, resistors can go in any direction, the current flow doesn't matter. Give them a little twist. So I twist them together. I then chop that off there. Our soldering iron is on 400 degrees. I have my solder. So let's just get these soldered. There you go. That's the resistor soldered on there. So that is the resistor done. Now we want just a little bit of heat sink. And how long a bit of heat sink do we want? There we go, that's a bit long enough. There we go. So we can now put our heat sink over this resistor. There you go. This side can come out here. And we now need to put our connection wire on. Now what I use for connection wire is telephone cable. Really thin, it's an old bit of BT line. And this is also nice and thin and it'll hold its shape. So we just want to hold a piece of wire on this end. Trim it off. Solder. Hold the iron on for a second. Don't take long to heat them wires. There we go. So we now have one wire on. Take it out of the helping hand, sort the wire out, slide the heat sink over both your soldering joints. There you go. Get your lighter. And there we have it. Perfect. So there's one resistor with a cable. Now the same with this side. Use my other piece of wire, which I've already stripped up. So I hope this isn't too long and drawn out for you guys, but some of you might want to do this, and now you'll know how to do it and how I do it. A lot of seasoned railway modelers probably won't agree with what I'm doing here. They'll probably call it a bodge or it's not right. It works, it's safe, it's not a fire hazard, and like I said, nobody is going to see it. Whoops. That's it. So that's done with the soldering. Now we just want a little bit of tape. Take this out of here. There you go. Now you put a little bit of tape around this. Now I will show you how I control the lights on my layout. I have basically two power supplies on my layout. I have a variable supply, which is basically a train controller, which I run some lights on, and I also have underneath the table, they're all on chocolate blocks, I also have a fixed 12 volt connection. I will show you that when we get to the layout. There we go. There are our wired LEDs. Let me just put the battery on there, hold them down. Here's the wire at the other end. Now what I use as a test is just a simple 12 volt battery. Just to test to make sure everything's alright. This telephone wire also strips really well because it's single strand. Don't matter if you get the wires wrong, it just won't work if you do it one direction. So let's hope I got it right. There you go, look at that. And there are our 6 LED lights, all working off a 12 volt battery. But they will work on many voltages. If they're too bright there, it's because they're on the maximum. So once this is stood over, once we have, where are we? There you go, that's stood on the house. So now, I don't know whether this will show up in daylight. We'll have to see. There you go. Our house is now, there you go, lit up, look. Oh, that's perfect. So the house now lights up nicely. So we can either go on a fixed 12 volt or we can go on variable. That was a 1K resistor I used there, by the way. So now what we're going to do, next time you see this video, tell you what we will do, hang on a second. Is there enough heat in my hot glue gun to get a bit more heat? Because there's one thing I forgot to do, and that is, oh yes, there's your hot glue. You could go along the back if you wanted. I'm just going to go along one side, both sides. Stick them in and stick this down with the hot glue. And hold that for a second. That will then bond this on. I really ought to have stuck it along the front, but not a lot of room. But that's fine, we'll tie your ballast around the bottom, it'll be good. So, give me a second and I'll get the camera set up on the layout and I'll show you how I install this on the layout. Back in a minute, guys. Right guys, we're back again. Here's my model railway layout. Now what I'm going to do is decide where I'm going to put my house, and I've decided it's going to go probably there. I quite like him there. So what we need to do is we need to make a hole through this table. As you can see, this table is quite thick. It's basically, sort the GoPro out. What this is that table's a good 2 inches thick, and it's got 30mm styrofoam on the top. So we've probably got 3.5–4 inches to go through. So to try to drill the hole through it is quite simple. What isn't simple is once you've drilled your hole through the table, threading these wires through. This is where my next little trick comes in. So we've decided where we're going to put the house. There. And if you wonder what the drinking straw is for, all will be revealed. So our wires are sort of here. So we just mark a little hole with a pair of scissors or whatever, brad hole, whatever you want to use. I have a drill. Here's a wood drill on my drill. We gnaw the hole all the way through. Now the drinking straw, you're going to be like, what are you going to do with that? Cut the flexible bit off. Don't need it. Poke the drinking straw through your hole, leaving a little bit stick out. So we've got a little bit of the drinking straw sticking out. Not a lot, but a little. Use our hot glue. Don't cover the end of the drinking straw, just put a bit round the edge. And you'll find the straw will be poking through the bottom of the table. There it is. Give it a little wiggle. Right. So now that's done, get these two ends, join them together, just twist these ends together. Cut off your excess. So you've got a nice twisted 2 wires. They will now thread through the straw. There you go, that's come out the bottom. So now from the bottom, pull the wires through. We're tangled up in a tree. Come on, don't get tangled in a tree. There we go. So that's the wires now in the tree. And there is our house. I will just have to, what I didn't do is I didn't poke these up in there. What you should do, I forgot to do this, just poke your wire joints and your resistor up through the hole. There you go. Push your straw in flush, pull through. There we go. And you can adjust your house however you want. Now all I've got to do is wire up on the underside. I'm not going to show you the wiring underside because it's basically like a load of cobwebs under there. But let me unscrew the GoPro off the machine. Excuse the camera wobble here. There we go. Got the GoPro off the tripod. But how I control this, here are my controllers. Let me just come down here, plug them in and turn them on. Right, now here's my layout. As you can see, this building here is lit up and the church is lit up. That's because these two are running a constant 12 volt which goes into the side of this controller. It's probably a bit dark in there. Let's turn So this controller, this controls the bottom track, this one controls the top track, and we have a 12 volt on the side, which I have wired to, well basically it goes to this chocolate block under here. I hope you can see it's rather dark. So there's a fixed 12 volt under here, and the other chocolate blocks you can see, which are up this side. Yes, it's very messy under there with wires, but what they are is variable 12 volts, so they work on this controller. So to turn all my lights on, if I turn this controller, we'll get the street lights, and then as I increase the power, the tunnel lights will come on, and so will the other buildings, like that factory there. You can adjust the brightness of them by turning this as dim as you want it. But things like the church and this building here, they can be a fixed lightness. So I've got to decide whether I want that to be variable, that house, or whether I want it on constant 12. Because sometimes constant 12, that's 12 volt, that's to me far too bright. Don't like it like that. I normally have it so the tunnel is just lit up. And it also lights that factory up. See what I mean? The factory is, you can dim everything. So that's how I've got everything just on one controller. So you can adjust when that's dark, you can adjust how light or bright you have it. But this factory, the church, a constant 12, and I have a sneaky feeling I'll probably put the house on constant 12 as well. So, oh, there's another little house up there. I forgot my little alpine house. He's on constant 12. He's on variable 12 as well. So you can basically set how dim you want these. And all these buildings are lit up with that string of lights like I just showed you. Underneath the tunnel, that's actually ribbon LEDs. The big 10 metre or 5 metre rolls of ribbon you get with the LEDs. Yeah, I can show you these ones, look. Because I've got some under there to light the controller up. This is basically all it is. That's how I work it all. So everything is good to go. So let me now wire the house up underneath, and then I'll be back. See you in a minute, guys. So we're back again, guys, and as you can see, the little house is lit up. Don't he look lovely? So while we're here, we'll just show you the train layout. This is what we've got. So, as you can see, it's a very, very simple layout. Excuse the shadows. And I will actually set the trains going so you can actually see what's going on. So here's the controller under there. If I turn on this controller, you'll see the back train under the tunnel starts to move out. Top controller, there you go, and here comes our trains. So let's turn the light out, and if I pull the blind down, it's got to get very dark. You might not see it very well on camera. That'll give you some idea of what this is like when it's lit up. This is basically what the setup is like in the dark. Bearing in mind I can adjust the lights to however I want them. I've got them full power now, which actually look quite bright, but on camera they will look quite normal, but trust me, it's a bit too bright. For my normal running, I normally have them about there. So yeah, you can see what this is all about. I'll put the blind back up again. And we'll put the light back on. There you go. So yeah, that is how you wire up and electrify a house, and the method I use to do it. So I hope you all enjoyed this, and yeah, we shall see you in the next video. Bye bye for now. Like and subscribe. If you do have any comments about if you think I did something wrong, please let me know. I'm still learning. This is a relatively new hobby to me as well. And if any of you are wondering, this is not digital command either. This is just normal DC layout. And as you can see, even just running DC, they run extremely smoothly and extremely slowly. Both of these are DC. I've got no digital command. The locomotives, that one on the top there is a class 37. Basically made in the 60s. Full power models had 1,750 horsepower. And the back train, which is now going through the tunnel. Let me speed him up a little because he'll take a while to get here. You should see him now come out of this tunnel. There you go, we'll slow him up. He is a EMD GP30 American freight train, predominantly built in the 70s. Had a V16 diesel engine which produced about 4,000 horsepower. They also did a V20 version which was 5,000 horsepower, but they didn't make too many of them. But I say, just normal DC control, no digital command, no fancy sound. This is basic train running, but I like it. And yes, I can reverse a train, so I've got one going a different direction than the other. You don't have to have them running the same direction or the same speed. The top and bottom track are totally independent of each other. There's no way for them to join. So there we go. And in here there's a little class 08 shunter which I've got on 2 cabooses, who also works. If I turn this set of points on, he'll actually start to move. But that's because this track here is isolated now, but when I turn the points on, it'll make this track live. But bear in mind, on the same track as this train, so you can't have them both running together, because this little engine takes a lot less power than the big engine. So as soon as you turn this track on, he'll basically stop and he'll take over, because he's managing on such small amount of power compared to this one, which is towing I think it's 12 tankers on there. So yeah, knocked my pillbox over. Dink, there you go. So yeah, that's how we wire up our buildings, and all my buildings are done using them same string lights. So just remember, the lights you need, these ones actually come off eBay, but you can get them on Amazon. Now the little ones are on a stiff wire and they are tiny little LEDs, but as you can see, they are perfect. And 10 metres of these, I think these were about £5 delivered. Simple, chop that battery box off. Don't forget to put a resistor on there, a 1k resistor. Up to 12 lights you can get away with a 1k resistor. I mean, I use 6 lights in most of my buildings. 1k resistor is fine. As you can see, that lights up brilliantly. And then you can have it on a fixed 12, which I've done there. I'll put this one on a fixed 12 volt. That's not on a variable like the others. So yeah, that's basically my train layout. Is it finished? No, I don't think they're ever finished. People say, are you finished with your train set? Well, I don't think you ever finish with it. I think there's always something you could do. There's a lot more I need to do with this yet. I want to put farm animals in here, some fencing up with some fields, some people, because at the minute there's no life to it as such. There's no, there's nothing sort of living there. It's all inanimate object. It's houses, it's buildings, it's trees, it's trains. There's actually no people there, so I need to add a few people to it, a couple of cars perhaps, a couple of N-gauge cars parked out the front of the manor house, make a little roadway, possibly up here somewhere, put a little road in here with a little crossing perhaps. I'd even thought of where this factory is, putting a footbridge over here and some steps going up to this top level so the workers can get to their factory. Don't know, possibilities are endless. We're all one with model railway is, it's your railway, build it how you want it. So yeah, there's our little Santa Fe, and if you want to give him a turn of speed, he will actually get quite a move on. So if you think these just trundle around slowly, that's not necessarily the case. They can be quite fast. But I don't tend to run him that fast. To be more anal and be a bit more accurate, scale speed for 45-50 miles an hour is about 3 inches a second. So one of them carriages, or one of them tankers should I say, are about 3 inches long. So at a fixed point, when one of them carriages pass 1 second, the scale speed of that train then is about 50 miles an hour. So, and that's probably that's probably scale speed of 50 miles an hour there, which is quite realistic. And there's our class 37. And what he's replicating is, he's replicating the old Kingsland Sam train. As you can see, all these little hoppers there are British Industrial Sams. Alright, that's enough of that. I'm sure you're all bored out of your tears now. But if any of you guys have got any comments, or you'd like to leave any comments, that's absolutely fine. If you want to look me up on Facebook, you can. My name's Adam Fenn. I'm on Facebook. I'm in several of the N-gauge train groups on there as well. So yeah, no problem at all. I shall see you in the next video. Ta-da for now guys, bye bye.